Hello, this is Mike from Dimensional Walking. Today I'm going to title this episode, we're going to title this as The Vanishing Act Over Troubled Waters and the Theories That Followed, including UFOs, etc., etc. So we'll go through them all. Here we go. So on October 12th, 2023, two advanced FA-18E Super Hornets launched from the USS Ronald Reagan aircraft carrier during a routine training exercise. Within 15 minutes, radar contact was lost. No distress signals, no ejection seats triggered, no black boxes pinged, just completely gone. Vanished. Vanished. So the pilots were Sarah Jenkins, lieutenant commander, and then Lieutenant uh, Michael Reyes. These were both seasoned aviators. The weather was stable. The jets were in top condition. A search and rescue operation was launched within 30 minutes, involving all kinds of equipment, MH-60 Sky Seahawks, some P-8 uh, jet special equipment type surveillance type jets, even some of the Philippine armies, the some Navy frigates from the Philippines. Yet no wreckage was found across 500 square mile grid. So, what could explain this disappearance, this sudden disappearance? Well, here we got a bunch. I got a bunch of theories for you. Did a little research, and I'm going to give you some of them. Here we go. Let's start with the big one. The southern China Sea has long been a hotspot for UFO sightings, including radar anomalies, fast-moving objects tracked by military vessels. Could these jets have encountered non-human intelligence? Okay, so there was no distress signal. Suggests some kind of a sudden, overwhelming event, consistent with abduction scenarios reported by the military pilots in other incidents. Um, Advanced radar jamming or cloaking could explain the total loss of contact. The region's history includes reports of USOs, unidentified submersible objects, moving at impossible speed beneath the waves. So, so if extraterrestrials were monitoring military activity, this disappearance could be a test or a warning. So that's one thing it could have been. Now, theory two is the South China Sea is riddled with deep trenches, magnetic anomalies, tectonic activity. Some theorists propose that the existence of a natural vortex in this area, where maybe space time behaves unpredictable. Sort of like, I guess, if people have talked about it in the Bermuda Triangle. This is no different here. So there was no debris again, no signals, consistent with sudden shift, which would be kind of consistent, I guess, with a sudden shift into another dimension or time stream. Similar cases, again, we're going to 1945 disappearance of Flight 19 in the Bermuda Triangle, or the 2004 Malacca Strait vanishing of a Malaysian cargo ship. The whole ship disappeared in the strait close to Malaysia. So there's, of course, some other things, possibly wormholes or localized folds in the space-time existence. High-speed aircraft could have triggered some kind of entry into some type of a vortex type area. So it's a possibility that maybe Jenkins and Reyes are still alive, maybe just in another timeline. It's possible, I guess. It's just one of the possibilities. I would probably guess it's one of the farther out ones, but I think it's still worth the conversation. So Theory three is the Chinese electronic warfare capture. Let's kind of do a little pivot here to the geopolitics. China has, of course, invested heavily in this electronic warfare or anti uh, kind of access denial systems and kind of a whole stealth technology. So this could be a covert operation by the Chinese. It's very possible. So China offered tech, technical support, actually, in this particular case, through negotiations with the U.S. government. But the United States government dismissed it and was pretty suspicious. So I guess they didn't get involved at all. So there was no wreckage that meant that the jets were electronically hijacked or landed elsewhere, which is a possibility, I guess, if they actually had that type of technology. Strategic timing. The incident occurred during the heightened U.S. Filipino Navy patrols, um, and China may have wanted to send a message. Who knows? If this is true, this would be a bold escalation, one that the Pentagon would have probably try to keep kind of quiet just to avoid war. So that's a possibility. I think it's a very, of course, we're pilots. You can only hope that the pilots are still alive, but it seems to be a while ago. So then theory four is something a little bit far out also, but it's interesting. It's an interesting theory, and it's this crypto-terrestrial encounter. What if these jets encountered a hidden civilization of, let's say, uh, kind of crypto terrestrials living beneath the South China Sea? And one of the things is interesting thing. There's some extremely deep trenches reaching like 400 meters down. So there would be no sonar returns despite intensive scanning beyond human capability. So the area was scanned, but again, down these deep trenches, it's impossible to look at all the corners down there. So let's look at the pilot's background. Jenkins, Sarah Jenkins had about 1,200 flight hours, and Reyes was on his third deployment. These weren't rookies. These were somebody that had a lot of experience, and two planes disappearing without a trace is pretty amazing. One, yes, but two of them right next to each other, pretty strange. So then the fifth theory would be the catastrophic mechanical failure and a cover up of that. So we can't really not pay attention to the mundane possibility that there was some kind of a mechanical failure. Though unlikely given the jet's condition and the pilot's experience. But what if the failure was known and covered up? There was no ejection or distress suggesting a sudden collapse of systems. So there was no warning. There was nothing sent back. Most of these jets have systems where they will actually send back signals when there's issues, even though the pilot may not. But the Super Hornet actually does have some of these systems. I looked it up. So this is kind of a $100 million blow. Forgetting about the pilots for now, we're talking about just equipment. And maybe then the military like to keep this a secret. Yeah, I don't know if they would. We throw money around pretty easily. But there was a retired admiral, Strahan. He speculated that the mechanical failure external interference, but emphasized no evidence of foul play, at least yet. So he was leaning more to a mechanical. And of course, we should always remember sometimes the simplest explanation is the most politically consistent. So, the disappearance of these two cutting edge jets in a contested region with no trace, no clear cause, is more than a military mishap. It's a modern mystery that touches every layer of speculative onion. Aliens? Vortexes? China, crypto terrestrials, cover-ups, until, until the debris is found or the pilots are returned. The South China Sea will remain a cauldron of unanswered questions. So let me say this: happy trails until we meet again. Bye bye.